Hello, welcome to the Mississippi Trustee Implementation Group's video for our Draft Restoration Plan and Environmental Assessment. For the purposes of this presentation, we will refer to ourselves as the Mississippi TIG. I'm Valerie Alley, Director of the Office of Restoration with the Mississippi Department of Environmental Quality, and I want to thank you for making the time to view this recording. We're providing this to give the public an opportunity to learn about the projects proposed in Draft Restoration Plan 5. In this draft plan, we are proposing projects that would restore birds and also improve water quality through non-point source nutrient reduction. The Mississippi TIG released draft RP5 on June 29, 2026, and we are now about halfway through the public review and comment period. At the end of this presentation, I will tell you how you can make comments on the plan. This presentation will cover a restoration overview, a review of the draft RP5, and information on how you may provide comments on the draft plan. The restoration overview will provide an introduction to the Mississippi TIG and a summary of the Natural Resource Damage Assessment, also known as the NRDA, funding to date in Mississippi. The Mississippi TIG includes the Mississippi Department of Environmental Quality, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the U.S. Department of the Interior, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. Chris Wells represents Mississippi, and I'm the Mississippi TIG representative. Mary Josie Blanchard represents the Department of Interior, and Cody Hayes is the Mississippi TIG representative. Department of Interior is the lead federal agency for this draft plan and environmental assessment. Doris Washington represents USDA, and Craig Johnson is the Mississippi TIG representative. Jeff Smith represents NOAA, and Stella Wilson is the Mississippi TIG representative. Benita Best Wong represents the US EPA, and Trip Boone is the Mississippi TIG representative. The 2016 Deepwater Horizon settlement with British Petroleum for natural resource injury not only determined the total amount of money BP would pay in damages, it also determined where settlement monies must be spent. These funds have been assigned to restoration areas, one for each of the Gulf states, and other restoration areas known as region-wide, open ocean, and unknown conditions. In the Mississippi restoration area, the total NRDA settlement allocation is $295,557,000. As of April 2026, we have committed approximately $206 million toward restoration. For Restoration Plan 5, we are proposing to spend a total of $19.5 million in two restoration types, $6 million for restoring water quality by nutrient reduction, and $8 million for birds. In this presentation, I will refer to those projects the Mississippi TIG is proposing for selection and implementation as preferred, and those projects we analyzed but not proposing to select at this time as non-preferred. The Mississippi TIG reviewed 572 project ideas submitted by the public and evaluated a total of 5 projects as the reasonable range of alternatives for this draft plan. The words projects and alternatives are used interchangeably in the plan and in this presentation. The reasonable range of alternatives includes 5 projects in 2 restoration types, 2 nutrient reduction alternatives, and 3 bird alternatives. After evaluating the projects under the Oil Pollution Act criteria, the Mississippi TIG identified the preferred alternatives, which are shown on the next slide. Draft Plan 5 contains a description as well as an evaluation of each of these 5 alternatives, the preferred and non-preferred. After the Mississippi TIG identified its reasonable range of alternatives, we used the standards found in the Oil Pollution Act's Natural Resource Damage Assessment regulations, such as cost effectiveness and likelihood of success, to determine which projects were preferred for implementation. In the following slides, I will provide project details on these projects as well as the non-preferred alternatives. As we proceed, we will discuss the amount of funding for each project as well as the project timeline. To note, project timelines for these projects include planning, engineering design and permitting, construction, and post-construction monitoring. The goal of nutrient reduction projects is to improve water quality in coastal waters and the Mississippi Sound through nutrient and sediment load reduction. The Mississippi TIG is proposing to select the Nutrient Reduction and Hydrologic Restoration in Moss Point, Mississippi project, which would reduce pollution in coastal streams that lead to Mississippi Sound. This project includes 2 sites in Moss Point, the First Street Stormwater Park and the Kayak Park reforestation site. MDEQ would be the implementing trustee for this project. The First Street Stormwater Park component would upgrade stormwater infrastructure to direct water flow from existing ditches to the stormwater park. A shallow infiltration basin landscape that includes native plantings, both woody and herbaceous plants, would be constructed to capture stormwater, allowing significant time for infiltration of sediment. This would reduce the amount of sediments and materials that would otherwise flow directly into adjacent streams. The Kayak Park reforestation component would increase water filtration and evapotranspiration in the project area through the planting of native vegetation and the construction of a bioswale to slow and filter stormwater and promote the growth of native wetland plants. The estimated project timeframe for this project is 7 years. The estimated cost is $6 million. The non-preferred nutrient reduction alternative would be implemented in the Big Cedar Creek and West Pascagoula River watersheds in George and Jackson counties. This project would improve water quality by implementing conservation practices such as riparian herbaceous cover and nutrient management to reduce nutrient and sediment transport from farming operations. USDA and its conservation partners would provide agricultural landowners with technical and financial assistance to implement management strategies to address nutrient runoff from their farming operations. The estimating project time frame is 5 years and the estimated cost is $2.5 million. Because the success of this project is dependent on landowner participation, it was ranked by the Mississippi TIG as non-preferred for this plan. The Mississippi TIG evaluated 3 bird restoration projects. I will describe each of those in the next few slides. As with the nutrient reduction projects, project timeframes include planning, engineering design, construction, and post-construction monitoring. The Lower Mississippi River Valley Migratory Bird Habitat Enhancement Project would be located within 7 national wildlife refuges and wildlife management areas located in the Lower Mississippi River Valley in the following Mississippi counties: Washington, Humphreys, Itsaquena, Yazoo, and Warren. MDEQ and the Department of the Interior would be the co-implementing trustees. The Lower Mississippi River Valley is an area of significant importance for sustaining healthy migratory bird habitats and populations that stage or overwinter in the Gulf of America and in Mississippi. Nearly 40% of North America's waterfowl and 60% of all U.S. bird species migrate or winter in the Lower Mississippi River Valley. Migratory birds would benefit from increased food resources, leading to increase in overwinter survival and breeding success. This project builds on a previous National Fish and Wildlife Foundation Gulf Environmental Benefit Fund project and would enhance and actively manage wetland management units. Activities would include heavy clearing to provide early successional emergent wetland habitat, cleaning and sloping of drainage ditches, chemical treatment of unwanted vegetation, and supplementing ongoing moist soil management, debris removal, grading, and adding and replacing water control structures to ensure wetland units function properly, installation of new wells to allow for annual flooding capabilities, and the estimated project timeframe is 7 years. The estimated cost of this project is $5.5 million. The restoration of shorebird habitat on Cat Island, Mississippi would be located on Cat Island in Harrison County in the Mississippi Sound, Gulf of America. Mississippi Department of Environmental Quality would be the implementing trustee. This project would restore beach and dune habitat for shorebirds on Cat Island through the dredging and placement of sand resources along the northeastern tip of Cat Island, creating up to 100 acres. Creation of beach and dune habitat would provide significant nesting and foraging opportunities for Mississippi's shorebird population. The estimated project timeframe is 8 years, and the estimated cost is $8 million. The increased nesting success through predator management on mainland beaches is a non-preferred project that would be on the mainland beaches in Hancock, Harrison, and Jackson counties. An increase in predators on mainland beaches in coastal Mississippi has been observed in recent years. This project would create and implement a predator management strategy to identify methods that would be effective and cost efficient, and would also include stewardship, education, and outreach. Deterrent actions or habitat management actions that reduce predator use of the surrounding landscape would be used when aggressive methods are not feasible or desirable, and for species that regularly prey on eggs or chicks but are rarely responsible for complete colony failure. Examples of this include fish crows, gulls, and gull-billed terns. Monitoring data would inform a long-term predator management plan for mainland least terns. The estimated project timeframe is 5 years, and the estimated cost is $500,000. The Mississippi TIG determined that this project could result in collateral injuries and may be difficult to implement because of the need to seek approval from local governmental agencies. Therefore, it was ranked by the Mississippi TIG as a non-preferred alternative for this plan. Now we will discuss the next steps for Restoration Plan 5. The proposed action is a selection of 3 preferred alternatives described in Draft Restoration Plan 5 Environmental Assessment: nutrient reduction and hydrologic restoration in Moss Point, Mississippi, Lower Mississippi River Valley migratory bird habitat enhancement, and restoration of shorebird habitat on Cat Island. We are currently accepting public comments on the Draft Restoration Plan 5 as part of our planning process. After the public comment period closes on July 29th, we will review all comments received and revise the plan as needed based on public input. We expect to release the final restoration plan this fall. The Mississippi TIG Draft Restoration Plan 5 and Environmental Assessment can be found at the website on the screen. So how can the public submit comments? You can submit comments on Restoration Plan 5 at the link showed on the screen. You may also submit comments by mail to the address shown here. However, please be aware that mailed comments must be postmarked on or before the comment deadline, June 29th, 2026. Following the public comment period, the Mississippi TIG will review public comments. All comments received will be considered, and the final restoration plan will contain response statements for any concerns identified by the public during the comment period. A decision will be made on whether to move forward with the proposed action, which is funding and implementing the 3 preferred alternatives. All projects selected in the final restoration plan would comply with applicable environmental laws and regulations prior to implementation. We want to thank you for viewing this webinar and participating in the public comment process. Please be reminded that the deadline for submitting comments is postmarked by July 29, 2026, or submitted to the online link by July 29th. Thank you, and have a good day.